Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hungover Podcast, a podcast brought to you by voices that I like to do.
Yes, the voice of our time. Thank you very much, Ivan. You're
welcome.
really a
Annoying.
truly outspoken person. I'm one of your hosts, Julien. That's Ivan.
Yes.
This is a podcast you can get on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, YouTube in video form, and sometimes on twitch.tv/UGBsgood. But because my schedule is getting all wonky, I don't know if it's going to be streamed anymore. We'll find out. It's not like anyone watches anyways. But if you want us to keep streaming, please tell us in the comment section below. We will keep doing that. We'll just have to figure out what time it works. Today, we're going to be discussing a little bit of a broader topic. You know, we kind of want to have a back catalog of podcasts that aren't just current day topics. We want to have discussions that are timeless. So we're going to be discussing the current trends in technology and Ivan's apprehension towards where it's going. We'll find out during the topic of the show section. But without further ado, we start our podcast out every single week by asking each other, what media have you been consuming, and what did you drink last night?
Jays.
Julien?
I'll start.
No, I'm kidding.
You motherfucker. Julien would really just like to have this podcast by himself, but fears that he wouldn't be able to fill an hour.
Definitely can't.
Invites me on to fill in the 20 minutes that he's not talking about what video games he played that week. Julien just wants a video game podcast on his own where he just talks about what he played that week. But then he's like, I get bored by myself. I'd just rather play the video games.
It's true. Why am I talking about it to no one? Why can't I just play the video games? Jeez.
So that's where I come in, because he can tell me about them and then try to convince me to buy them. But
yeah,
okay.
Sure.
One of these days I'm going to get the Switch. I'm waiting for the hardcore Switch to drop.
They're not going to announce it at E3, but maybe in the weeks prior or after, they might have some sort of press release. We'll find out.
I just feel like it would be a waste if I got the Switch now when a newer, more badass Switch is coming up.
It's potential. I would wait until the end of the summer, and then if they haven't announced it by then I would
the
just go
summer is the best time to get your friends together on the picnic table and play together. Or find other picnic tables filled with other nerds who are also playing their Switch at picnic tables in the
outside.
summer.
Hey, look, it's happened before. It wasn't just that commercial.
I know.
But they do need to have a brighter
York
screen.
City and I don't. There's a big
They need to have a
difference.
brighter screen. If it's bright outside, you can't really see that screen.
But then you just play the sound games or the clicky games.
Oh
or
yeah,
whatever.
those are great. Or you could do
Give that.
Labo VR, which I just got. Oh, I got it's like the basic $40 version. I was gonna do an unboxing and review of it yesterday and do a time lapse of it, but this blaster right here, you can't see it.
I can see it.
It takes 3 hours to make. Holy shit.
That's a good time lapse.
Yeah, so no, I just didn't have enough time yesterday, so it's like, oh.
Feels like you need to drink while you do this. But
Yeah,
anyway.
well, yes. Keep going, Bob. Sorry.
If you're going to drink something, I don't necessarily recommend this Dogfish Head beer that I had last night.
Dogfish Head.
Yes, it was.
Which one?
So, Dogfish Head has fallen into the trap of
IPA.
all brewers. Is they started with IPAs and now they're moving into
Craft
right,
brews, micro brews.
sours.
Oh, they made sours. I like their 90-minute IPA. That one's
Their
really
90
good.
minutes is really good.
It's really good.
The Sea Quench Ale is
Makes
a
me wanna move to
thirst-quenching
Washington.
sour beer.
And just grow a beard and wear flannel all day and drink this IPA. But wait, what is the Sequench Ale?
Yeah, Sea Quench Ale. It's a session
Salty?
sour mashup of a crisp Kolsch, a salty goose, and a tart Berliner Weisse.
Wow, they are really branching out there, huh?
Yeah, essentially it's like a beer, and then on top of that you put a little bit of sour lime lime juice is what it kind of
Okay.
tasted like to me, but
Nice.
I mean, probably not. I don't know. It's not for me. I'll tell you that much. I
Okay.
like a sour, but at the same time, I have acid reflux, a pretty
Oh,
bad one.
does
So
it
like, if I drink a really really sour beer, I want it to be really like
tasty?
quenching and delicious, really tasty. And this
Refreshing.
was okay. This one was less like, let's punch you in the gut with that sour. That's what you came here for,
Oof.
right? As opposed to
Oof.
more the sours that I like are usually have like a sweeter start and then a
Mm-hmm.
sour finish and come together in some culmination of like, we're just gonna take your taste buds on a roller coaster of deliciousness
There's
and
no
get you drunk
subtlety
on the
anymore, man.
meantime. Yeah, there isn't. It's the whole thing. We've lost the ability to have subtlety. They just take hop and they put it into a concentrate, and then they throw that into beer. Not a subtle hop concentrate. It's not subtle there. It's just hop concentrate.
We
People
can't
are
even mix
allergic to
subtle
that
beers.
shit.
We got the polarized political system. We got the social media. We can't even have just subtle beers anymore. What's
It's
the
a
matter?
digital world, man. Everything's is ones and zeros. You either have it or you don't. It's on or it's off. There's no ability to be in between. And this is the beauty of the world
This
is the
the
in between
genesis.
moments.
This is
Jesus
the
Christ.
thesis of the topic of the show.
I know.
Um,
Anyway, so I
yeah.
had this sequence ale. I only got through like 3/4 of my tall boy of it before I was
Oof.
just like, and half of
They
that
do
I
tall
wa-
boys of it?
Yeah.
Oof.
Half of that I was like, ugh.
Gotta finish this up.
Like it was that you feel obligated. It was
Mhm.
obligated drinking. I was like, I spent so much money on this
Like
fucking
you're
beer.
playing Edward 40 hands and you're obligated to finish the second 40. Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
enjoy a nice crisp 40 English malt.
You can't do Oli anymore. They do plastic bottles. That's just wrong.
Oh, that is wrong.
It's so wrong.
Yeah, it's like, so there's this Russian beer company called Zhigulevskaya, and they had like 2-liter versions of their beer. It was
Nice.
awesome. It was my favorite shit ever.
Is it a malt beer or what is that kind of beer? Can you get
ask
that in America?
questions. I don't know.
I don't think so, right? I mean there are some Russian beers you can get here, but I've never seen that one. I think it would be popular in my crowd of
Zhigulevskaya.
friends if
A beer of Soviet and Mexican friendship.
What? What? That's so cool. That is so random. Or it's probably not that random if you're Russian, but or Mexican. But do you think you can get that in Mexico City? Or
I don't know. I really don't know much or anything about this beer.
You
other
just
than I had it
remember
a few times, and it was pretty
drinking it?
sweet and pretty like super drinkable.
That's awesome. For 2 liters, that's great.
Samara's Zhigulevskaya brewery was opened in 1880 by Alfred Joseph Marie Ritter von Vacano, an Austrian nobleman of Hungarian-German origins. There you go. Austrians and Germans started beer everywhere in the world. Jesus Christ. Anyway,
That's so funny.
back to the point. Media I consumed. I'm deep into the midst of season 1 of 6 Feet Under.
Oh, cool. I've heard of that show. It's
Yes, it's an older show.
show, yeah.
But it's got
That's an
one of
HBO,
our
right?
favorite Showtime.
Showtime. Okay.
Hence, I'd never seen it before because I'd never had access to it. But Laura has them all on DVD, and it's got one of our favorite actors in it,
Who?
Michael C. Hall. Dexter.
What? Wait. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't he play a gay guy in that show?
Yeah, he plays
Yeah,
a
yeah.
closeted gay man who kind of hates himself for
That's
being gay.
horrible, but awesome
It's-
because I like
it's a-
Michael C. Hall.
Yeah, it's
Underutilized
a really
actor.
2000s show. It's really dated.
But
Like,
is it like well, you keep going. You know what you're talking about. I don't have a question for this. Sorry. I have to
You
think
don't?
about my I have to think about my question. All right, you go.
it's an interesting thing because obviously the fact that there's a gay character in the early 2000s, a lot of it is focused on gay acceptability in the in the United States in the early 2000s, and there's
So
I
it's
just woke up.
more of a
There's a lot
period
of
piece in
I
a
mean,
way.
at this point, it kind of
Yeah.
is. It's really dated, and there's a lot of struggle because he's a practicing Catholic, deacon of his church, but also is a gay person. So he has a close connection to God, but is also struggling with his own sexuality and
Season
how
6
those
of
fit
Dexter
into each other.
definitely played
Um,
on that.
He
Also
also
Showtime.
talks to dead people in the show, so very much like Dexter.
Okay. There has to be some goddamn twist in these early 2000s, or just any TV show now.
But it's
But-
just like, it's that same thing where like all of these characters are thinking or talking to dead characters or dead people
Okay.
in the show, and then they're like, oh, they're not there. It was in their head, but they're so into this fantasy that they're reacting like it's real.
So the
And I'm just
director
like, okay.
or writers saw The Sixth Sense and they're like, what if we made a show where everyone was the kid in The Sixth Sense?
Yeah, but it's more like if the Sixth Sense wasn't, they weren't real people. They were just more like manifestations of problems that you have in your own consciousness.
Okay, that's cool.
But you still physically react to all of it, which is, that makes sense. I mean, a lot of us talk to ourselves, or at least
Yeah.
I talk to myself.
Oh, definitely.
And I'll definitely like have conversations where I'm rehashing arguments that I've had with other people and speaking out loud the things I wish I could have said.
I do that all the time, man. All the fucking time.
No wonder every time you walked away from me in college, I would hear you muttering. Great friends. Would be better roommates now.
Probably, yes. Too bad that will never happen.
No.
No.
Although Laura's going away because she got into university in the UK, so
Oh,
she's
really?
gonna be gone. Yeah.
Congrats to her.
I'll pass it on.
All right, that's really great news. And she wants to go
Yes.
there.
Yes, she's going. She's already
That's really
accepted.
fantastic.
She's getting it
Wow,
all together.
great news.
Yeah.
This podcast is off to a great start, Yvonne. I'm very
Yes.
excited.
The ramblings and ravings of people about Dogfish
Our
Head
lives.
Brewery, our lives, and
Well, hey,
6 Feet Under, which
you
is
can
like
let-
a 20-year-old show at this point.
you can let your kids listen to this when you're 60.
That's right.
How
I
about
could,
that?
But why would I put them through that kind of punishment?
Well, they'll find it eventually, so and then you know
That's
they're going to
true, it
listen to
is
every
the
single one.
Ah, shit.
They're like, who's that Julian guy? Fuck that guy.
That's Uncle Julian.
No,
You're gonna
God.
be around for a long time, Julian.
Oh, God.
You're gonna be Uncle Julian. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, fair. You know, I'm already an uncle. My dad had a past life. And so he had a daughter, and that daughter had 2 kids. And they're like almost my age. It's kind of
Oh,
weird.
whoa.
Or one of them is. It's kind of weird. I don't talk to them.
Should we write?
Should they listen to this podcast?
Probably.
They
everyone
probably
should.
already do. Okay.
But should we write a movie screenplay about how
my life?
your
No.
character would fall in love with some random person?
Wait,
on
is
the
this
screen?
like
It turns
Old
out
Boy?
that they're
Oh, okay, never mind.
your niece.
Wait, is this like Old Boy? You trying to
Kind
make
of.
this like Old Boy? No.
Yes.
God, no.
Gonna make
Please, no. Please, no.
old Julian boy.
Yeah, no, let's not talk about Old Boy. We could do a movie review of Old Boy if you want to see
Oh.
that again.
Yes.
Tell us
I
in the comment section
have
below.
Very vague recollections of the Korean
Films.
Korean film.
Of the ones that you've seen.
I've only watched the Old Boy, or
You
not
saw
the
Train
Old
to
Boy, but the
Busan.
Korean Old Boy, once, and I didn't watch because it's part of like this dark trilogy, right?
Yeah, I think it's the
Yeah.
second of a trilogy that is not related by story, but in just because the
Atmosphere.
director says it is connected.
Sure, why not?
They're in the same universe. It's fine. Cool, man. Is that about it for you? That 6 Feet Under. I definitely got to check that show out because I do really like Michael C. Hall. He hasn't really done much that I know of recently,
He's been
So,
on Broadway a bunch.
oh,
And
that's
been
why.
fighting, brain cancer or whatever.
Yeah, I remember that would be a good reason why he's not acting. But I remember he was on Broadway for a little bit.
He did this thing that's on Amazon, I think, where he plays a British dude.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I just remember seeing him in Gamer, and like, this is probably your worst role ever, but I still love you, man. Maybe not his worst role ever, but definitely a pretty bad role. I do like him a lot. I wish he was in more movies, and I wish him well. And his brain cancer fight. Didn't know he had brain cancer. I knew he had some sort of cancer.
It was some sort of cancer.
Okay. Well.
A form of Hodgkin's lymphoma. Anyway, all in all, D&D update real quick.
Oh yeah.
My group got together. They dungeon crawled through their first dungeon, and it seems
cool.
like they really enjoyed the experience. So
you finally finished building your characters.
more and more and more dungeons.
That's really cool. Yeah. So it should be a long campaign then. Very nice.
It will be.
Oh, it will be. All right. Well, for me, I haven't really done much. I've been working really hard on my dissertation and getting all the paperwork sorted. I didn't know I had to give the Graduate Center, which is where I'm getting my PhD from, 8 weeks notice. They want 8 weeks notice. Like, God damn. And I figured that out when I have 3 weeks left before I defend.
Shit.
It's all right. They're taking care of it. I mean, I finished my dissertation. I set a date, and I had already sent my dissertation to my committee, and this is, I'm getting my PhD in chemistry for people who are just tuning in. So if you want a podcast on what it's like to be a graduate student, then Ivan and I can oblige if you want. But
it's true.
Let's see. Yeah, so I had already sent it to my committee, and I'm pretty much done. It's just formalities that they really have to go through. They have to contact the provost to officially announce the date or whatever, and for some reason that takes forever. So I don't know. They like to give you, it's extra time, the 8 weeks, but it's to ensure it happens. So I hopefully, look, either way, it's going to happen. We're going to defend if it's officially announced or not. So I don't really care at this point. Fuck everyone. But yeah, so I've been dealing with that lately. But I managed to beat Final Fantasy X. Did I say that in last podcast? Either way, I beat that game.
I don't remember if you had finished it or
cool.
Oh, you were starting the next one with that's
yeah,
Only Girls.
I started the second one. It's pretty fun. They actually changed up the fighting system a lot. I was streaming it last night, but I got to this point in the game, like 3 hours in, where you literally, it's just mechanically broken. They want you to physically push like these 4 characters into an elevator. And this is actually, you have to do this to progress the story. So I liked the game up until now. I like all the characters. There's Yuna, Riku, and Pain is her name. And it's sort of like more lighthearted. It's sort of like they're like Charlie's Angels of Final Fantasy. It's sort of like that sort of, story going on in the game. They're trying to steal these spheres or whatever they're called in the game, and they go on missions, and it's like 3 girls having a great time. And the cool thing about the combat is there's 2 different modes. You can make it a little slower, or you can make it really fast paced. It's more like a real-time combat system, although it's still turn-based technically. It's like a really fast-paced version of Final Fantasy VII, if you remember how it works. They have a bar that fills up, then you attack. But the enemies are, so it's sort of like a dance sort of thing going on. And you can physically become a character that sings. You have a bunch of different job types that you can switch in on the fly. So you can have a character that's a black mage but you can switch them to become a white mage or a dancer, and it's all based off of this grid where you can move one sphere over, and then if you have like black mage next to white mage, you can become a white mage. But you can't. But if you have a like a thief class 2 spheres over, then you can't become the thief class. But you have to go through white mage first.
Okay.
Each turn you can move 1 sphere. So it's
Right.
it's kind of cool, and you can have different layouts, and it sort of becomes a puzzle at that point that you arrange before the battle, and then you can optimize your path through the changing of classes if that's what you want to do. I think it's a really cool system, actually. So I really like the characters. They're all total waifus. It's like, why did they make them wear such little clothing? I don't really know. But I'm into it. Whatever. I get to see Yuna wearing nothing. That's fine with me. And Riku, goddamn, why is she just wearing a bathing suit? I don't know. A bikini, whatever. But this one part, I literally can't do it because the controls are so loose, and there's this one tiny character that you have to push, and because it's at a fixed camera angle and an angled motion at that, like pushing directly forward doesn't moves your character sort of diagonally across the screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have to hold it diagonally to push him, and he's so small. And he always moves back to the same spot if you just aren't pushing him for a split second. He'll just run back to the same spot. So I fucking flushed that game. I'm done. I don't have time for this shit. Because there's another Final Fantasy game that I'm playing, Final Fantasy 12, The Zodiac Age, a much better game. Fuck Final Fantasy 10-2. I really like the characters. I like the battle system. I like the music. I like the story. But I can't deal with this stupid shit. All right? I'm done. All right. So I'm playing Final Fantasy 12. It's a fun game. It's actually they play off the you get to choose your job in the game, and you can switch it. So your class, so you can, each character has a different class, and basically it's more like World of Warcraft in a way, the combat. So you have cooldowns, I guess. And also you can, it's cool because you get to, it's called the Gambit system, but you basically program your character, like some light programming. If this happens, you do this. If this happens, you do this. And so you basically just run into a battle, and if you've set up your gambits correctly, you don't have to do anything. Your battle just play through. So I think that's a pretty cool system. A lot of people don't like it, though, so I don't know, whatever. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. And then Nikki and I I'm forcing Nikki to watch Neon Genesis Evangelion with me because I want to actually finish. I've finished the series before, but I haven't watched all the movies. So I'm watching the series again. Gonna get real confused at the end, and then watch the movies, and hopefully everything will make sense. That's all I'm doing, though.
I wish you the best of luck in this endeavor.
I like the show. Oh, and I finally built my Gundam, Tallgeese. Dude, and I wanted to make a, this thing's dope.
Is it Tallgeese or Tallgeese 2?
It's Tallgeese. Oh, wait.
No, it's not Tallgeese 2.
It's Tallgeese from Endless Waltz. And it's a custom. It's custom build. It's a custom color. And I got it from Japan when I went. So if you want to see the time lapse of me making it, go for it. I will upload that at some point. This took like 5 hours. This is crazy. It's a master grade. So like the knee was so crazy to make. It like has it has essentially like a joint and a thing that extends. It's like a real knee. It's pretty fucking cool.
I want you to know that model that you built is better than the animation that they drew in Endless Waltz.
Yeah, I know. Anyways,
it's the Tallgeese 3, by the way. Tallgeese 2 was still in the original manga, or the anime.
Yeah, I've been getting into. I figured out my new camera can film time lapses, so I've been getting into trying to film more of those. I'm gonna try to film some more time lapses, and hopefully I'll get to upload them on our channel. I'm gonna try. We'll see. I think New York City has some interesting things to time lapse, so I'll check it out. I already did one of the Statue of Liberty. It worked out pretty well. I gotta figure out the settings a little more, but. Yeah, anyways.
Was it, Did
What?
it move at all?
No, the boats moved in front of it though. And it's crazy how much clouds move. Like you don't really notice it unless it's a windy day, until you see a time lapse of them. But anyways, Ivan, 30 minutes in, 25 minutes in, let's
Finally ready.
have a topic of the show.
Okay, you pick one.
You pick one. God damn it. You wanted to discuss where technology is going. It's currently 2019, May 2019. If you're, excavating this in 3019 and you found the Hungover podcast and you're listening this far and you still speak English, who knows? Unless English has become the language of the future, we'll find out. It seems like it's moving that way, but it might be Chinese.
If it's not.
Ni hao ma, yeah. Who knows? Maybe it's like some Russian language. You never know. God no. What do you want to talk about with technology, Vaughn? And will they laugh at us in 3019, or are we?
Yeah, I hope so.
Predictors?
I hope that we have come to some sort of phase of equitable living, and the era of love and friendship is not just the 60s, but like how we live together.
Yes.
But technology is moving forward at randomly paced intervals, right? So there are some things that move at like clockwork, right? The ability to develop processing power is clockwork, basically. You have Moore's law, where every set number of years we advance.
Well, we're reaching the limit of that currently, but
we will, but then we'll get into what's it called?
Quantum computers.
Quantum, yeah. We'll get to quantum computers, and we'll get past that, and then we'll finally have a working superconductor, and everything will be hunky-dory.
That would be great.
But in the meantime, the things that are moving at disparate levels are things that I think can pose some serious threats to our ability to function. But pair that with the system of capitalism and laws that we have in the modern day, and it's building a picture where we're really fucking screwed.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been setbacks that some of the tech companies have endured in the past few years, but looking at the problems and the imposing threats that lay in front of us based on how how technology is moving in certain areas is really daunting. So, of course, we have Facebook, which your habits, your information is what Facebook makes its money on.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make its money on like
they don't have a product to sell.
Right. The product that they sell is your information and your habits as a browsing person.
And they sell that to advertisers and other companies as well. Yeah.
And the goal being to know how people are going to operate from day to day. So that's one level of technology. But Facebook is so ubiquitous, it's been called basically utility, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's in the possession of every person. The amount of people who are on Facebook or Instagram. I'm not on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Grandma.
Yeah.
But the habits of all of these people, they can read all of your messages. They can see all of your pictures. They have access to all of your information. They know when you wake up. They know when you go to bed. They know where you are during the day.
Whoa. Yeah, there's 2.38, according to Google, Zephoria.com, there are 2.38 billion worldwide Facebook monthly active users. That's crazy. As of March 31st, 2019.
What, a quarter of the world?
Yeah, and this is an 8% increase in Facebook's monthly active users year over year, which is surprising given all that information that came out. about.
Right, and it's increasing. So we're increasing the level of invasiveness of technology into our lives.
Yeah.
And that's just Facebook. Then we have Google, Apple, all of these other companies which you use their products, and what they get from it is not just selling you whatever the product is, if it's Apple, for instance, but making money off of all of your habits from Google. And we've all had we've heard or had the scary happenstance where we were just talking about something, and then you open up your browser and it's the first like ad that gets serviced to you is what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Now maybe you had like idly put it in, and then you began talking about it and forgot it that you had put it in, and that's where it was. But there have been real instances where people were using Alexa or other voice activated devices, and whatever company was listening and can service ads to whatever you're talking about. So there's that side of things. Then there's the sides of things where AI is developing in different ways. So now we have facial recognition systems, and one of the podcasts that we wanted to put together, but because my fucking technology sucks sometimes.
Oh yeah, that I thought we actually put that out.
We weren't able to put out.
That's ironic.
It was you this time, not me. Julien, I washed the dishes. No, Ivan, I washed those dishes. Will stick with me for the rest of my life.
That was so funny.
I can now. So it was a thing where I thought I was so concentrated on getting this test done, and then Julien did the test. So when I saw the test was done, I had convinced myself that I had done the test. It was like legitimately the craziest level of the human brain pushing itself in a singular direction. I'm just saying that I'm a really smart person, and this can still happen to me. So when we're being triggered to do different things in the future, it's going to happen to a lot of people. So then we have facial recognition systems where you can set up a camera that's that's on the corner of a park in New York City, and with $150 or something in software and tech costs, well, maybe a little bit more with the actual cameras, you can put together a facial recognition system that can identify people who walked through this square and then contact them based on whatever photos they've put up. Now, the more increased people we have on Facebook and on Instagram, the more facial recognition we have possible, right? Because people keep uploading photos of themselves doing fun and cool things. But all this leads to a system where it's super easy to track somebody. And at the same time, you're being rewarded for increasing your activity on sites where all of your information is being tracked. Your face, your global positioning, your daily activity, whether you're lounging, running, working, all of these things are being watched, rated, tabulated, calculated, put into an Excel spreadsheet, and sold as information to a company. So we have all of that, and in recourse to not wanting to be tracked in all of these things, we're losing our ability to even conduct class action lawsuits, which was the standard way that a group of smaller people could bind together in order to combat a greater bad. So, for instance, if you thought that you were getting overcharged for something, or there was a product causing cancer or other harmful diseases, you bound together with all the other people who were affected by that product, and you brought together a lawsuit. That's what a class action lawsuit is. But we signed away our ability to do class action lawsuits in all of these end user licensing agreements that nobody actually reads. So
yes.
You have these EULAs that pop up, and it's just an annoyance for you to get to whatever product you're going to. And nobody can read it, and even people who are trained to read it have difficult times reading it and understanding what's going through. They're intentionally long and confusing in order to manipulate people into not understanding what's happening.
I read part of one. I read as much as I could of one time, and I got to the point. I read there was a clause. I forget again. I assume there might be a generic format, right? that they all just copy paste. I'm sure
Well, most
there's
of it probably is, but
but there was a clause in this particular one, and again, I don't remember the company I was agreeing to sign all these rights over to, and there was a clause that says this company reserves the right to alter the end user agreement at any time. Under any circumstances, essentially. That's how I understood it. Of course, I'm not a bird lawyer or anything, but yeah. So that's kind of scary that they can just put that sort of clause in there. And I think this was for like a fairly reputable company. It's probably like Google or something. But
yeah, I think that's probably boilerplate.
Yeah.
We can change the licensing agreement on you at any time, and then it'll pop up. Hey, we just changed a few words. Are you okay with this? It's like the latest patch in Overwatch. You know?
Oh yeah.
Are you okay with this? And then eventually it's going to be your firstborn child is now a slave to Google.
Well, wasn't that a thing that happened? They had to change all user agreements recently. And so, like, every company, you kept on getting emails, and then it became a meme or something.
Yes, yeah. that did happen.
Yeah.
And it's just the ability for people to combat the invasiveness of technology is shrinking.
Mm-hmm.
And while we are getting more and more involved, and it's becoming to be a utility item. And what I mean by a utility is the internet is basically a utility, and it should be treated as such. So you should have access to it, and it should be something that is guaranteed as a right. So other utilities are things like electricity, which the government provides.
Infrastructure.
Yeah, so water, which is something that generally the government provides.
Mm-hmm.
These are utility items
Roads?
that everybody needs and has access to.
Bridges?
Roads, bridges. So these are things that the government should be in support of providing either through themselves or through contractors to ensure the guaranteed service delivery. For instance, telephones used to be a thing which were landline based. And it was decided that telephones were such a ubiquitous necessity and good that no matter where you were in the United States, it would be the same exact price to install a telephone line.
Wow.
So, and that still exists to this day, I believe, unless it's changed recently. Okay. So no matter whether you are in the most rural place in Alaska or the most populous place in New York, it costs the exact same amount to have a phone line installed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the basis of what a utility is. It's something that we've accepted as a society that's so important that we all must have access to it.
Yes. So what you're saying is we have somewhat of a dependency on all of these things, such as the internet. And
yes, the internet as as the larger case, but as the more integrated part of that is that the social media aspect of the internet is starting to become as ubiquitous a utility as owning a telephone was in like the 1960s.
Yes. Yeah. So, right. So you're saying that we have this almost primal dependence on the internet now, right? I don't think some people, particularly in LA, probably could go a day without their phone. And I
Watch
think I could
any street corner in New York, by the way, Julian. Don't.
Yeah, I know. I'm kidding. and I see it on the subway all the time. It looks like it's like you could replace that person with a Japanese person on the train, and they'd be the same person because they're just looking at their phone. No, I'm kidding about LA. But I'm also not. But no. So basically, we have this it's now become a habit to just whip out your phone and look at it for 5 seconds at a time, put it back in your pocket, do it again in 5 minutes. So you're saying
or
we
even
have
less, and those ghost vibrations, the things that we've picked up that are habit now.
I got rid of that. I'm proud to say I don't do that anymore. But, and I would gladly fucking toss this thing into the river, any day of my week. I hate these phones. But I do like having the camera. I think that's pretty cool. But then again, that's what you're talking about, right? These cameras and these microphones are always on, whether you like it or not, and that's because of the companies and probably because of the government in some respect. I don't know.
Well, not actually the government. The government has been forced out. Like Apple wanted to get.
Oh yeah, they wanted
Apple
to.
was.
They
the
locked
FBI
that
wanted
phone.
Apple to allow them into the back door of a terrorist phone.
Yeah, they locked that
and
phone.
Apple refused.
Yeah.
And spent a lot of money to have engineers look at it to find a different.
Well,
path.
that was Apple, right? So, I don't know about Google. I don't know about Amazon. Who knows? I don't know. The government does some shady shit, right? Sometimes.
Yeah, telecom.
Would you not agree?
Yes, and like telecom, like Verizon, aided the NSA in setting up their supercomputer farm of listening in on every single phone conversation.
It's like Batman
having gleams of every single text.
It all comes back to the Dark Knight. You create this super. You're turning
too much power for one man to have.
You're turning every cell phone in Gotham City
Towers,
into a microphone.
I do not work for Wayne Enterprises.
I thought that was enter your name when you leave. It'll destroy the whole system. We gotta do a review of that movie. It'll just be us quoting.
How have we not done a Dark Knight movie review? It's like the core of our being.
Yeah, I know. So at the same time as the internet providing such a great utility to us, we're also being tracked and taken advantage of in many ways through the very devices that we love so much.
Yeah, and there's no space that we're going to have where we can endure privacy unless we build. Julian, get on this with me. We build little lead lock cabinets where we can keep our phones if we want to have a safe conversation.
Okay, we also have a soundproof
other listening in devices or enabled devices, right? So now our TVs can listen to our commands, our Apple devices, our Alexas.
Oh, luckily I have an
Google
old TV.
Homes.
I have a real old TV.
Oh no!
I'm so lucky. No, yeah, I definitely, I think we're on a trajectory, and I think you agree, that is kind of scary. And I think that people are so obsessed with their technology now that they're not seeing all the warning signs that are blatantly in front of them, such as Amazon Alexa, literally always Alexa buy this, Alexa buy that. Just having one company provide we were talking about teaching me about economics last podcast, but having just one company provide you with all the products that you quote unquote need or want, Amazon, is a scary prospect on its own, let alone having all the technology in place, right? So having a monopoly on the market is, the government protects us against that in some ways. They prevent I'd like to see them try to take on Amazon. That would be interesting.
They've previously been able to prevent that, but that was
doesn't look like
the
it now.
U.S. government was much less influenced by the money of said monopolies.
Right. Okay.
Because
so
it wasn't possible to manipulate people in the levels that we have now. Like, yes,
it all comes back to money.
The oil barons were super rich, but they're not Apple rich.
First $1 trillion company. You're right.
Apple has more money than most countries in the world.
Right. So there's a lot of money in tech right now, as you may know. Of course, Silicon Valley. And
you don't say.
All that stuff. So it is a valuable skill to be learning if you're a kid right now, trying to get a job. But maybe it'll be too late. It seems like this trend has moved the internet as a commodity, as I guess, or a human right now, or could possibly be in the future, has been moving so fast, and there's just really no way to regulate it at the pace that it's going. And it looks like government officials are just now catching on to it, right? It's moved that quickly. Within the span of 40 years, we've essentially gone from, oh, we can connect two computers together, to now everyone is connected in fucking split second. You can be connected to someone. So
you can bank
anyone,
online or you can bank through
Less
cell
than-
phones in Eastern Africa, and you've been able to do that since basically when the 6 feet under was around,
That's 6 feet under. It's a great thing to come back upon, because now we can use that as a time point,
a reference point.
Yeah, reference point.
There are so many ways in which this has already infiltrated our life, and there are so few outlets to combat them.
Mm-hmm.
And the influence that money has on politics means that politicians are more beholden to a large corporation than they are to their constituents, because they still need that money in order to win their next election, etc. It's like a really stupidly vicious cycle. But that being said, now with these companies making their rise, now we have super influential people. We have Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Steve Jobs, and all of them can turn their attention with these mega
Money,
wealth bases,
yeah,
to fixing problems as they see fit. So now we have the investment of like Mark Zuckerberg into Summit Learning, Elon Musk into various other corporations that are focused on bringing technology and education together. So now we have students in Kansas, for instance, that were, as covered by the New York Times, that were asking to not be part of Summit Learning because because of the way that the Kansas educational system is structured. There's so many cuts, and these outlets of like high capital backed educational like centers. So a corporation, Summit Learning, for instance, being Zuckerberg's one, they were offering to help out. And then in underfunded schools where you don't have enough teachers or teachers' aides or anything to monitor and help with the class, now you have kids who have an outlet to have education, and that's through a computer. And so everybody's working on a computer and focused on how computers work from their base like educational experience in the home. So now, because they couldn't have a way of tracking kids through work and through use of their phones or whatever in a workspace, now they can infiltrate how kids are functioning at the earliest level in educational spaces, and forcing them to kind of be beholden to these angel investors into education, because the physical cuts to tax bases or education bases in lots of places across the United States are forcing education boards and educational governances to look for the outlets of the greatest help in the cheapest way. And if Summit Learning is willing, as one of these companies, or any other analogous company, is willing to come in there with their high technology for free and help out these kids, yes, it'll help the kids in terms of being able to experience a different level of technology that they might not have been able to have. But it also, what this particular Kansas example warns us of, is that they're separating them out and having kids be way more individualistic, way more technology dependent, just adding to the cycle where kids feel rewarded for whatever they're doing on their devices, and separating them out and not creating good habits of social interaction that we all strive to learn when we were kids in the educational system in grade school. Yep. So our basic ways of learning how to interact, how to make friends, how to overcome obstacles, how to find our niche group, for instance, in high school, when, you have the stoners, the jocks, the popular kids, etc., and you're navigating those hallways. Yes, we all find those stressful. Yes, those stresses can lead to really bad cases of whatever kinds of psychological problems, but the other ways that they help are just the basic level of social interaction that you have and growth in that direction. And if we're all delving deeper and deeper and deeper into our screens, then we're not really developing those tenuous skills that we need into our future lives.
Well, Ivan, what if this is just the direction of human evolution? Maybe we need to merge with technology.
It's really fucking sad, dude.
But only to your viewpoint, Vaughn. Only to your viewpoint. What if people in the future want to become cyborgs and always connected? What it's like how older
Borg.
people always hate on the younger generation. They always hate on the younger generation for everything. They blame them for everything, like baby boomers who are, and I guess the generation after that, they're always like, "Oh, your music is too loud. You guys are all pathetic." Back in my day, to walk to school uphill both ways, that type of shit, right? So you're always trying to.
But I'm not blaming the younger generation for using the technology that's been placed in front of them. I'm blaming the generation that's above us, which is in power or has like Zuckerberg, Elon Musk.
How old is Zuckerberg? He's 40.
Probably 30s, I think.
Yeah, he's our generation.
He's a little older than our generation, I think. But whatever. The people who have money and power at this moment, who are choosing lazy options and quick remedies as opposed to understanding the ramifications of what they're going to be doing down the line.
Mm-hmm.
There are not longitudinal studies on the effects
any of this.
on the effects of kids being so integrated with their technology.
Yeah, right. When your baby has your iPhone, you got a problem. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't, because there's no longitudinal study on that.
Yeah.
And I see that shit all the time. It's really frustrating. When I see a baby with an iPad.
Humans
I can't afford that.
Humans evolved as a social creature. We evolved as a animal that needed community in order to function. But the more isolated we feel in this world that is driving us to feel bad for not achieving our full potential, while we see these avatars of excitement and perfect lives in other people. Like, we see other people who are doing the most exciting thing. They're traveling the world, they're taking this photo, they're going to this amusement thing, and we feel so isolated. Even though we're so interconnected and being able to see and talk to whoever in the world, we are losing the foundations of interaction that are critical to just the brain chemistry of a human being.
Of human beings today. I'm just saying. Right.
When the singularity happens, sure, we'll have a different fucking brain. But in 100 years, this conversation is going to be dated, just like 6 feet under.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking. No, look, Ivan, I agree with you. I don't like the way it's going, but I also don't know the outcome of it. So I don't necessarily know if it's gonna be a bad thing, but I can foresee it being bad. I wouldn't be surprised if I make it. If I make it another 100 years, let's say I live to 130 with modern day technology and medicine. Who knows what they develop in the future? Hopefully it's a cure for gout. We'll see. But
it'd be great, dude.
That would be fucking amazing. I could drink again. Then I could drink my sorrows away. And then I need a cure for alcoholism. But yeah, so I mean, I don't like the way it's going, but also it might not be a bad thing. Might not. We don't have the longitudinal studies, and I think someone should start that now, right? This is the perfect time to do it, and you would have great findings in 10 years.
But the findings that we have in terms of current study, like not so what we talk about a longitudinal study is multiple years. It's tracking something for a long period of
Multiple
time.
people for multiple years.
Yeah. What we
It's
have
usually a psychological thing. Psychology.
Psychology or health,
Yeah.
those are the usual reasons to have a longitudinal study. What we have right now in terms of statistical like variance between this year and previous years, or last year and previous years, just taking snapshots, is we have increases in mental health issues among
and
teenage
depression
and younger
as
girls.
well, and
Yes.
suicide rates.
Yeah. So the social media era seems to affect girls more than it affects boys. But it does affect the entire category in terms of deleterious health effects, like mental health effects. So it's worsening the condition of our children's mental health
100% agree.
be so dependent on these kinds of social media and technological interactions.
Yeah, I mean, you used to be able, if you had a horrible day at school, let's say you got bullied and shit, or, whatever, the typical thing that might happen to any school-age person, you used to be able to just shrug it off and go home and then hope for a better day tomorrow. But now you have to live with what happened at school the entire night, because you're on social media, people are still talking about it, this type of thing. You have a picture, some embarrassing picture, whatever. And then you have to deal, and then because people are talking about it all night, they're going to talk about it in the morning. They're not going to forget. So that takes a huge toll on people, and it's evident in suicide rates and depression rates, and like what Ivan was saying, a lot of mental impairments or disabilities, things coming up in developing children. And so it's really, that's social media side of thing, and because of the technology that's enabled it, we all have these phones that we're looking at, right? So it's kind of bad.
And to kind of your point, maybe there needs to be another look at how we handle these things, and maybe we can adjust to having these technologies in our lives, but work through those things and look at it from a different point of view and really focus on good mental health.
Right. This isn't going away. These phones aren't going away.
Right.
It's not going to happen. And I don't think it should happen. I think these are the most... some people are like 10 times more productive when you have a phone. You can contact everyone at work. You can send emails. You can, apply for things. You can make huge changes in your life if you just have a phone and access to internet. So it's not a bad thing to have the phone. It's a bad thing when it has, these negative effects through social media and things like that. I don't want to just say social media is bad, but it probably is.
I mean, I think that it's when it becomes an addiction, and for most people who have phones, it has become addictive or an addiction at some level. Like, when I have a boring conversation on the phone with somebody, and I go to find my phone, and I'm looking for it, and I can't find it.
Because you're holding it.
I'm holding my phone. That's a problem. When I'm in the middle of a conversation and it's like a little mindless, and I go and reach out my phone and I whip it out and I'm talking to somebody and doing like a little game or something on my phone, like that's really bad. And I've caught myself doing that a couple times, and I felt so bad, and I felt like socially, like that was really, really stupid of me.
Just normal now.
So I just really dislike how I can be having a conversation with somebody at the bar that is my friend, and then they take out their phone and are going through like Tinder and other things at the same time, just because they have it accessible to them. And it's just like, there used to be a kind of a social, not a covenant, but like an agreement that we could just maybe have a conversation with somebody at a bar. Now, maybe it's better that isn't the social norm as much anymore, because there's a lot of sexual harassment that might happen based on that kind of conversation.
Yeah, you're right.
Maybe we can adjust to kind of blending in more physical interhuman reactions and it renormalizing, just like having a conversation with a random person at a bar, not having that just be an old person thing.
Right.
And
I love talking to people at the bar, but that's because I'm a guy.
Pockets of technology.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's it's going to take a greater mind than me to figure this one out, Yvonne. I don't have the answers for you, but I definitely know that if current trends hold, then we're in for a real doozy of a time. I really hate that depression rates are rising. I think that can't possibly be a good thing. But
we can talk about my views on mental health on
a different podcast
in terms of like depression. I think it is linked to the kind of social media world that we have, but it's also linked to just the basis of what it means to live in a capitalist society.
Well, yeah, there's many factors. Of course, I'm not just blaming it on social media and social media addiction, although it is a huge factor for some people. And it's a whole thing. Keep the conversation going in the comment section below, because we'd like to hear your input on this. Are we just babbling idiots? Most likely, or am I? Sorry.
I mean, we both could be. Please leave us comments on our social media profiles.
Look, we like making these videos. We like discussing. This is how we maintain our friendship. So these videos keep coming out because we're still friends. Maybe they won't come out in the future if we're not friends.
They won't. If we're not friends, I won't make podcasts with you.
I agree. That is 100% there. I don't
envision that being a thing.
Yeah, we got to make it to 200 at least, right? This is episode 109, I think. Let me double check that. Of the Hungover podcast. Let me double check that. This is episode 109 of the Hungover podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Of course, we end this podcast every single week in a song in a segment called Hungover Radio. This is where you, the listener or viewer, can send in your music to gaminghungover@gmail.com. And we will share it at the end of the podcast and play it there. So you can get some free advertisement for your band or, you're a solo artist, whatever it is. Or maybe you just make beats and things. I like to listen to just music without vocals too. That's a lot of fun. So it's free advertisement for you, and we'd love to share your music if you would allow us. Thank you very much for sending in your music. No one, because no one sends in any goddamn music to us. So I get to pick a song. Today, I've been playing Final Fantasy XII for about 2 hours, so now I must play music from the game because they don't give us copyright strikes for video game music. I'm going to play the main theme from Final Fantasy XII. But it's not the reorchestrated version. It's the original version. The remaster, it's a whole thing. I hope you guys enjoy this song, and maybe go pick up Final Fantasy XII on your Nintendo Switch. It's pretty fun. But actually, you could get it cheaper on PlayStation 4, so just do that.
Okay.
Yeah, look, there's a Nintendo tax, but I guess it comes at the price of portability. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe that's a podcast in the future. We'll see. I really enjoyed the topic, Yvonne, and I really thank you for coming up with it. It really helps out a lot. I'll try to come up with a similar topic. We might do a John Wick 3, Chapter 3 Pendulum. What is it? Penitence? Panandium?
Parabellum.
That's a word that I know. So yeah, we're going to try to do a John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum review next week for you guys. And then the week after, I believe...
It was Parabellum.
It is Parabellum, I agree. And I believe the week after is E3 weekend. So we're going to try to do an E3 predictions podcast for that. And then after that, who fucking knows, man? We ain't got no podcast topics. Send them in to gaminghungover@gmail.com. We will talk about things for you. And I guess technically with you if you tune in on Twitch. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.